Not sure. We're ready to get going. Mr. Murchat can hear everything. He can see us, but we can't see him.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave my phone on, and he's going to let me know if there's anything he'd like to add or share or his vote so that we can get going.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Yep. So we're going to open.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the July 8th, 2020 regularly scheduled meeting of the Bonsall Unified School District Board of Trustees. We're going to start by establishing we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
How about a quorum?
I will do that quickly afterwards. Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America and
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outstanding. And now a quorum. Lou Riddle here.
Dick Olson here.
Michael Gaddis here.
Marissa Anderson here.
And we know that Mr. Murchat is with us, just not visibly.
He just said Roger Murchat here, so for the record, he can view us.
Okay.
He can hear us, but we can't see him, so I have got him on the line.
Perfect. We do have a quorum. Reporting out on our closed session agenda, the board did consider the appointment, employment, evaluation of performance, discipline, transfer, or dismissal of employees per Government Code 54957. The board also discussed its position regarding collective bargaining with the Bonsall Teachers Association and the California School Employees Association in Chapter 703 in order to direct the superintendent as chief negotiator in the matter of BTA and CSEA contracts per the applicable board policies and government codes. In addition, we had a conference with real property negotiators regarding the Gert Road property. So I need a motion to approve the current agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. All right, can you see me now?
We got you.
All right,
Hey.
Gina.
Hi, Roger.
Thank you.
Miss McInerney is a technological magician.
Yeah.
All right. So we've passed, or we've approved the current agenda. Can I also get an approval to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 17, 2020 and the special meeting of June 24, 2020?
So
Motion
moved.
approved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
None opposed. Reports. Do we have a report from the Bonsall Teachers Association? Mrs. McInerney, do you know if we have a report from BTA?
Yes, I'm going to bring Esty, Backy in right now.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And there she is. See if she can unmute. There she is.
Okay, I think I'm good to go. Good evening. We hope that our colleagues, the board, families, and students had a safe and eventful Independence Day. We understand that this one was unusual as we have continued to navigate the uncertainties presented by this pandemic. Speaking of the pandemic, teachers have been working with our administrative team and directors in order to plan for the many, many changes we will encounter when we return to school this fall in order to keep our staff and students safe. There's a great deal that needs to be considered, from seating plans to restroom breaks to access to library books and so much more. We understand how much our BUSD families want and need students to be in school, and we desperately want to be there with them, but only if our collective safety is at the forefront of each and every decision made regarding reopening plans. As we have begun our planning, we have heard from many of our members who have expressed their concerns regarding their safety and the safety of their families. Teaching continuously ranks among the germiest jobs, and we combat this each and every year. However, this year, as we find ourselves fighting against a virus which presents so many potentially dire outcomes, up to and including death, our teachers are extremely concerned about the risk the virus poses to our communities, our families, and ourselves. We were heartened to know that the CDPH face covering mandates will apply in our schools. I think we've all been paying close enough attention to the news reports regarding the virus and know that the majority of our students will only be mildly affected or not affected at all if they become ill. I believe we all can agree this is fantastic news, as we all love and adore our kids and want to see them healthy and thriving. However, the news is not nearly as positive for the many people working to serve our students. Those of us returning to our classrooms face the potential of becoming ill and passing the illness on to our loved ones, as well as our friends throughout the Bonsall and Fallbrook communities. We struggle with knowing that should we or one of our colleagues contract the virus, we would be forced to be home for weeks as we recover, and our students may be forced back into distance learning with a substitute with whom we may have no ability to prepare for this transition. This would not be the worst case scenario, though. As we move forward with plans to reopen next month, we implore our board, directors, administrators, and families to consider the domino effect of the choices that are made, both professionally and personally. Our schools can only reopen when extreme safety precautions are taken and every single precious life that enters our campus is protected. Teachers regularly sacrifice more than most people realize, but we should not be expected to sacrifice our health or the health of our loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you. And from CSEA and Chapter 703. Ms. McInerney, do you know if we have a report from CSEA this evening?
I just brought Kara Starkweather in.
Oh, perfect.
Hi.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I hope you all had a safe and happy July 4th. I just want to let you know that at the last board meeting, we spoke about the budget cuts that were going to happen. And as you all are aware now, the deal has passed with new legislative intent language that states that no district, no county office of education, no joint powers of authority, and no college should lay off any of their classified staff for financial reasons. With the governor and the legislation passing that, I really hope that the cuts that were approved at the last board meeting will now be looked at during our negotiations as no longer needed. Because everyone in this day and age right now with what's going on with possibly the second wave hitting, we all need to know that we are financially okay to be able to support ourselves and our loved ones if something were to happen. So I look forward to the negotiations that are going to be starting hopefully in the next couple weeks with David and staff. And I thank you for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you. How about from board members? Mrs. Anderson, can we start with you?
Greetings, everyone. I hope everyone had a good 4th of July, and I am excited to be serving on the task force of the many members that are working together to collaboratively put together safe reopening guidelines for schools, whether it's a combination of in-person and virtual or hybrid or whatever it is, but we are working very hard to offer as many options to meet the needs of our student families and to make sure that we're doing it in a safe way. And I'm excited to be a part of that process. So things change very, very rapidly in the age of COVID. And I do urge people to who are interested to go onto the San Diego County website, where there's a lot of coronavirus information, including statistics. If you're under the age of 50, for example, there's been about 12,000 cases, which represents the highest number of positive cases, and only about 20 deaths of those 12,000 cases, representing about a 0.16% overall mortality rate for those under the age of 50. So there's a lot of conflicting information. And while case counts are increasing, the overall mortality seems to be decreasing. And I know there's a lot of agencies that are working very hard to make sure that we are offering our many different populations fair and equal access to education and the ability to get the information that they need to be productive adults when they graduate from our schools. So thank you to everyone, and I look forward to seeing how the situation evolves.
Thank you. Mr. Murchat.
No report at this time.
Okay. Mr. Gaddis.
No report at this time.
Perfect. Mr. Olson.
I've got a short local one, and that is that I think you were all informed that last night the Santee School District voted 5-0 to have implement full-time 5-day school. I would suggest, if we haven't already done it, that David or someone in power contact the Santee District, get a copy of what they had to go through to get to that. And we don't need to reinvent the wheel on everything. There may be something there that is germane to what we're looking at right now. But the fact that they voted 5-0 on this, I think it would be very important for us to get a wraparound on how they did that, what they came up with, what their plans were. And I mean, there's all kinds of things for the classroom, anywhere from wearing masks, which is not a popular thing, especially up to the 4th grade, and they have sneeze protection devices that go onto the desks. They have the masks that are not masks, but the shields. And I think we've got to look at all those things. But let's see what somebody else looked at and see what they came up with. David, does that make sense?
Yes, I'm happy to look into what Santee has in place.
Okay, there should be you should have gotten an email from Todd Madison. At least it shows that he sent you one. The rest of the board members, I think, got that email, didn't you?
Got it.
Yeah, but again, if they have gone to that point where they sat down and took a vote, they must have had something of substance behind that, especially to go 5-0. So I would think that it would be incumbent upon us to find out exactly what they went through, what their maturations were, and we don't have to agree with them, or maybe we do agree with them. But I think we should look at it and sooner rather than later.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Olson. For myself, I'll just say I hope that everybody had a wonderful Independence Day. Everybody was safe and had a great time. Also, I'm very interested to hear about our task force update. And I'd like to thank everybody involved that is working diligently on that. That's I can think of a few things less important in our current circumstances. So thanks to all those that are working diligently on helping to guide the district. Appreciate it very much. That takes us to public comment. Mrs. McInerney.
Yes, we have one public comment for item 7, and then I also have a public comment for item 9.1, the school task force update. So I will go ahead and read item 7 now.
Please do.
Hello, my name is Todd Madison, and I am a founding member of San Diego Schools. We are an advocacy group to help parents make their voices heard in improving education in our county. Our goal is to improve transparency, accountability, and equity in the school districts throughout the county. We're living in difficult times. All school districts face serious challenges ahead. Bonsall Unified's budget is likely to see deep cuts in the coming year, even given the partial reprieve we've been given by the state. Parents need to have a voice in making sure those cuts do not hurt the education of their kids. This summer, there is nothing more important to parents than their district's plans for reopening in the fall. We see that that is on the agenda later. Parents need to have a voice in that plan. Our mission is to provide assistance and advocate on behalf of involved parents. The best interests of our kids need to come first in every decision made. The volunteers at San Diego Schools can help parents to better understand how their school district operates, get involved with their district to make things better, and ultimately get the most value for their students' education. Education is a complex thing. There are many aspects of public education that are a mystery to the community. We aim to provide relevant and timely information to help clarify that process and help parents see the impact in their schools. We will also support parent-to-parent communication and discussion among all districts in San Diego County, so parents in one district can benefit from what has been learned by parents in others, what has worked and what has not worked. We have established a website at sandiegoschools.net and a related Facebook group, San Diego Schools, intended to act as a central hub for information, giving parents and students the ability to find answers and resolve problems. Everyone is encouraged to visit our site, sandiegoschools.net, sign up for our email list, and join our Facebook group to stay in the loop on upcoming events and activities. Parents and kids deserve a voice in their child's educational opportunities. We look forward to working with parents in Bonsall Unified toward that end. Putting kids first should be the first priority in education. Join us and help make that happen. Thank you. And that concludes the public comment section, item 7.
Perfect. Thank you. So takes us to section 8, which is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Information items, topic of the evening, 9.1, 2021 BUSD reopening school task force update. Mr. Jones.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be the main person on the task force giving an update, and I wanted to say what Lou did. I can't thank the task force members enough. All of us in different ways, parents, educators, we have a lot on our minds. I have a lot on my mind, and I can't tell you how much it means to me to have the support of a 15-person team with great leaders, great thinkers, and I just really appreciate the support and the task force. The ultimate goal is to develop a safe reopening school plan. That's the ultimate goal, and that's what we're working on. So I thank them all very, very much. We do have a task force that has started. I just wanted to share a few things, and then there's 5 people who are on the panel. If you think I miss anything important, please go ahead and jump in. The task force members for the public are 2 board members, Roger Murchat, Larissa Anderson, myself, directors David Moore, Douglas Stain, Laura Castro, executive assistant Gina McInerney. We have principal Eric Kosh. We have our BTA presidents Olivia Haro and Esty Backey. We have our CSEA president Kara Starkweather, and we have parents Coco McDowell, Guy Mangiamelli, Eric Ortega, Jennifer Leung, and David Toney. So again, thank you to everyone who is working together to develop a safe reopening plan. Some of the things that we're doing right now, we have the guidelines that I sent to all the parents, I believe, on 2 or 3 occasions. And when we sent the last survey, I put the California Department of Public Health guidelines on there. That's a very important document. That document coincides with the County Office of Education. Just last week, they released a checklist or a guideline. Those 2 go hand in hand. So our job essentially is to go through each of the 10 categories and do exactly what they're asking us to do to develop a safe reopening plan. So members of the task force have been divided up to take on different responsibilities within each category in order to develop it. We'll bring it back, we discuss it, we come to consensus, and of course that will be shared out to the board and to the public as we navigate along. Also, I want to thank the principals and let the public know that in addition to the task force, we have the principals who are now starting to work with leadership teams that we have at each school site, mostly classroom teachers, some classified staff members involved, and their job is to take a look at certain categories to iron out the details of what is safe, for example, social distancing going to look like in the classrooms. How about at recess? How about during transition in the lunch areas? So the leadership teams, along with the principals, are working out all those details. Along with that, I wanted to thank the 1,300 parents. Of course, we need a parent survey response for every single child in the district. We have 1,300. So parents, thank you very much for taking the time to take that survey. If you haven't, please do so, because the principals are looking at that data right now. They're going to start looking at the data with their leadership teams. And their goal is to try to do everything we can to give the parents their choice. There's 3 different learning models, and we're going to do the best we can to give you your choice. However, we have to see if we have the staffing and can we be responsible within those 3 choices to keep our staff and to keep our kids safe, along with great learning. So thank you for your responses. So far, an estimate of what it looks like is we're looking at, and again, this is going to change. This is just an estimate of where we're at right now. Around 60% of parents saying they would like to come back to school full time, 22% asking for a blended model, and now 17%, and that's going up, of people saying they'd like to keep their kids at home. Our job in leadership and in teaching, we are here to serve children. We're here to provide a service. We need to be servant leaders, servant teachers, thinking about the best interest of our kids and our parents, safety and instruction. So I want to, and I very much appreciate the task force, BTA and CSEA. I feel like we're really working together to serve our families and do the best job we can to afford everybody their option if we can keep people safe. And that's what our aim is. This week, and a thank you to Gina McInerney. She's taking the lead on developing a Reopening of Schools website. There's going to be a completely different website. You'll go to the BUSD website. There'll be a link directly there, and you'll see 10 to 11 categories of our reopening plan. Our goal is to get that started at the end of this week, and we will fine tune it, and we will add and make changes as more and more detail is added from the task force, and more detail is added from the site leadership teams with the principals. So please know that will start this week, and please know that between now and the beginning of the school year, you will receive an update from myself and the task force and or your site principal every single week until we start school. And I think that covers the update. Do you guys think I missed anything? Those of you that are on the task force, if you'd like to jump in and share anything if you'd like to. Unless I did okay with the summary. Okay.
All right.
I think you did great with the summary, Mr. Jones. I do have a comment for this item, a public comment for this specific item.
Okay.
To read, and it's from our same speaker that submitted the item for item 7, Todd Madison. He adds, just a simple comment tonight to make sure the board is aware of the fact that the Santee School District has apparently designed a plan to safely return to full-time 5-day traditional schooling with a backup plan to move to a split shift hybrid model if necessary. That plan was approved by their board last night unanimously, a 5-0 vote. I emailed a link to the actual board discussion to our board this morning, and there was quite a bit of discussion among their board with some great questions asked regarding how the mechanics would work, how teachers and students would be kept safe, etc. I hope the board here is taking this into consideration in their decision making as well. And that's the end of that comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this?
I do have a question. Mr. Jones, you did say that if parents had not yet taken the survey to please do that. Does that mean that the survey remains open, or do they need to contact the principal for this site to provide their information?
And I'm glad you said that, because I would have misspoken then, because the July 7th at 5 p.m. was the deadline. We need to stick to that deadline. We're going to close it. And I would ask parents then to reach out to their site principal, because if they don't, we're going to be reaching out to you, and we're going to make a good faith effort to contact you to give you your option and see if we can slot you into one of the learning models. If we're not able to get through to parents after a good faith effort, we are going to be selecting where those children will go.
Mr. Jones, I have a question. What percentage of the how many people what percentage have responded to the survey in total so far?
Well, we have 1,300, so we have a ways to go. If we have what's our total enrollment? 2450. So we've got a ways to go, and we're going to have a lot of parents to reach out to if we don't get folks responding. And we want to do the best we can to meet their needs. So far, in the interest of safety and social distancing, and I went into a classroom today with a team from the task force. I know many members of the task force have been in classrooms this week looking at how many desks and how many students can we fit into a classroom, but still keep it safe and following the guidelines. And I'm hoping that, looking at the data right now, that we may be able to be successful in meeting all or most of what our parents would like by offering those three options. But again, my concern, and I shared this the last staff meeting, by having everyone return, or if it were just come back to school or stay at home, two options, I'm personally, I'm not comfortable having that many kids in the classroom and following the Department of Health guidelines. So again, parents, if you're on the line, the details of how many kids will be there in the classroom, we're going to get that information to you as soon as we can, because the task force is out. We're what we think is reasonable. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to start giving you more and more.
All right. Mr. Jones,
Good.
can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
I'm all set with the update.
Okay.
Got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Interesting times. That takes us to section 10, action items. 10.1 is approval of fiscal year 2020-2021 temporary interfund transfers of special or restricted funds, resolution number 20-6-11. I believe this is just a financial housekeeping item. Yes.
Yes, that is correct. This just help us to or allow us to do transfer between funds for cash flow purposes. And the money is borrowed temporarily. It should be repaid the same year or the following fiscal year.
Understood. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. 10.2 is piggyback bid contract and bid extension between Minnesota WSCA NASPO Master Agreement Award with Lenovo Inc. for computer equipment, contract number MNWNC 117, purchased through Ari Jones Educational Solutions Inc. And again, I imagine this, as I know, this is following up on something that we already have in place.
This is for the purchase of technology that we're going to be in need to get to provide the distance learning or hybrid programs. The piggybacking is a procurement tool that allows us to contract the services or purchase items without the process of bidding. And this saves us time, and we can get the benefit of better prices. So for this particular bid that was awarded for a different public agency, we can get that benefit And the prices are in the exhibit B. There's a link to the Lenovo website where you can retrieve a spreadsheet with about 4,000 different items, including the item that we are interested on, which is the Lenovo 100E second generation item.
Okay.
I don't know if there
Laura?
any questions. Yes.
Laura, is the pot of money that is projected for this a budgeted item already?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. There's a pot of money for this purpose? That was the question?
No, is the money that's going to be allocated for this, is this already a budgeted item?
We have actually, we budgeted for this fiscal year for technology about $145,000. We'll most likely will cover that. That money is coming from additional funding for ESSER due to the COVID situation.
All right, so this is already budgeted.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I got a question for Laura quickly. Laura, when I looked through that document, and I know that you responded, but I haven't been able to look at it because I think you responded right when the meeting was happening. But on one of the items, I saw like laptop price that seemed overly expensive. What was I looking at? Because it didn't seem to be in. Because it sounds like we're looking one specific item that we're looking. Not exactly,
Right.
you know.
We're interested in to get the Lenovo 100E second generation Chromebook. Those items are not on that page that you were looking at. Those are there's like a link to get to those to the list of the items with the prices. What happened when you look at those prices right there is just for a single item purchase. And then when you go to the exhibit B, you will see that you will have discounts. There's some percentage there depending on what item you're looking for. But the actual item that we're interested in getting is listed on the spreadsheet that is on the link on the exhibit B. And then this piggyback bid is we're not obligated to make any purchase. We're not contracted. We're not committed to do any purchase or any expenditure. It's just for us to allow to buy from the vendor that is working with this bid. And once we have the quotes, we are going to be presented to you guys for approvals for the board.
Oh, okay. So we'll see specifically what you're buying and how much.
That is correct.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, so I believe we still need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All those
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. 10.3, approval of contract agreement between Gold Star Foods and Child Nutrition Services.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None opposed. All right, then that takes us to 10.4, approval of contract with Santa Fe Paving to replace courtyard and playground asphalt at Vivian Banks Charter School. So this is an item that is probably going to require a lot more discussion and probably some discussions on a large level with not only the community and Paula, contract review of our lease, and also quite importantly for this year and possibly into the future, the survey results of how many kids are actually going to be using or attending in person Vivian Banks. Not to mention our budgets and of this year and looking forward. So I think it's important that we have this discussion. I don't know if we'll necessarily take any action on this tonight, but Mr. Jones, I'll start with you and then open it up to the board.
You know, and again, just happy to, and we brought this on here because of the state of the playground. It does need to be repaired. We did take a look at the lease. That was a request of the board. It is the district's responsibility. And Mr. Kosh has done a good job of following up with the diocese along with Chairman Smith. And we're happy to, if the board would like, schedule a follow-up budget advisory committee and discuss this topic and other topics related to Vivian Banks if you'd like to.
Yeah, of course, it's roughly $150,000 bill, and given the current financial state of the district, that 150 grand could go a long way in a lot of other places, as well we know. Plus, it's non-recoverable money, really. So when it's gone, it's gone. I'd be very interested to see and to hear what the opinions of our budget committee are, and also what the school performance is of Vivian Banks. Do you have any specific survey results from Vivian Banks right now in your possession? Do you know how many of those surveys are looking to attend school full time this year?
I don't yet, not yet.
Okay. That could be an important criteria. If we reduce the number of students using that playground by half, maybe we could cordon off and use only the safest spots of the playground for a school year if we had to, given that COVID is a reality. So, other thoughts from other board members?
Well, we got, I think this is 145,000. I had Laura look, and there's, I think the repairs right now, with not counting anything else that might happen, is about 270,000. If we were to just look at the school, I had to run some rough numbers, and again, probably have to look closer. But if we had 100 kids there and there was no pandemic and no outside help financially, then the school would be at a deficit spending about $177,000 a year on top of the 270. So you're looking at, let's say, 5-year time, you're looking at over $1 million spent. So I think we want to make sure that this is what's our plan going forward. I know we're in the process of making a plan for the pandemic, and there's a good question you had: how many kids will be, wanting to come in the classroom from Vivian Banks in the survey?
Lou, I
Yes, sir.
would think possibly if rather than cordoning off something after you've paid for it to be re-blacktopped, maybe the smart thing to do is get a true number right now, and rather than cordoning off, you only blacktop that amount that's necessary, which meets the requirements, I believe, of the contract, which was safety issue. And if half the number of kids are going to be there, and we only need half of the property, we maybe don't want to do the 145,000 on the blacktop. We want to do half of it, and then put a small fence or something where people can't get over to the roughshod portion of the blacktop. So I just wonder if maybe it wouldn't be a smart thing to go ahead and put this on next month's meeting and try to get that information as far as what the student population is going to be.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, Mr. Olson. Also, and also get the input from the budget committee as well regarding what some options might be moving forward if we're talking about 100 kids. I know that the Paula community this discussion has been had probably at least 3, if not 4 times in my time on the board, about the necessity of that school, the performance of that school, the niche that it fills for their community. They've always campaigned very hard to have that school there, and through the years they've stepped up financially as well to cover a lot of the costs involved. So I believe that it's time to start this conversation again, make the whole community aware of what the financial shortcomings are, how it affects not only that campus, but also the district as a whole, and to start looking at the best ways to spend the money and what is best for student learning and achievement. So my recommendation here is to push this forward to next month's agenda until we have some more information.
I would agree fully.
Other thoughts?
No, I think I agree with both your comments, Lou, and I also agree with Roger's comments. I think this is something that, It's an uncomfortable conversation that we need to have, but it is a conversation that we need to have. When you're thinking about dumping in a ton of money into a facility, like, where you're never going to recoup that money back, and with the performance of the school, there's just a lot of things that we really need to look at and evaluate. So I think that we should get all of that information together and maybe talk about it next month.
And I think, Lou, also this is just the tip of the iceberg. The way that contract was written up, we've got, I think, what is it, 6 years where we have to pay for anything that is a safety issue. No ifs, ands, or buts. And so this could be the cheapest. I mean, you have to replace a roof because it's got a leak in it or something. We could really be out of our back pocket, I'm afraid.
Yeah, our exposure is definitely tends to the upside, not to the downside. So
Yep.
Again, we got to look at it all the way through and try to make some smart decisions. It's also important. That's the only facility that the district doesn't own. We lease that, and to dump significant monies into a project or into a property that we're leasing, we have to look at how smart that is in the use of taxpayer dollars. So that's a consensus to move this to next month's agenda and have more information to discuss it. Okay, that takes us to item 10.5. Approval of HM Systems, Inc. Master Contracts and Appendix 2021. Mr. Jones, what do we need to know about this?
That would be to Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore.
This is an outside agency that we use for psychological services, counseling, physical therapy, speech and language, when we need additional help. So this contract is just a renewal contract. Our hope going into next year is that we don't have to use a lot of outside services as we start getting a handle on the services that we're providing.
Understood. But currently, these are services that we cannot provide, and this is the cheapest way for us to provide them to our students. Yes. Okay.
David, is that an hourly thing rather than an annual?
I believe, yes, if you look at the contract, it is broken up depending on what the service is, physical therapy, counseling, psychological services, it is paid by the hour.
Okay, thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. 10.6, the renewal of the Librarian of Record Service Contract 2020-2021. Mr. Jones?
This is, I could talk about this as well. Annual contract that we have through San Diego County. They serve as our Librarian of Record. We are a small district and we do not have our own librarian, so they serve as that, and the financial impact is a little under $1,000 for the year.
All right, that sounds like a pretty cheap librarian.
Motion approved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. 10.7, approval of internship contract agreement between BUSD and Brandman University. Mr. Jones or
Dr. Stain?
Yes, this is another contract with the university for us to provide your students an opportunity to actually do student teaching and actually serve as interns with our educational staff so that they could complete the hours needed to ultimately obtain their credential. It's essentially an opportunity for us to provide them with the experience needed, and also an opportunity for us to get additional hands in terms of providing effective services to our students.
What is our liability with the coronavirus if we have interns in and something should happen to one of the interns?
Our liability is pretty much the same as it would have been otherwise, very similar to in the event, let's say under normal circumstances, if somebody were to be serving as an intern and they were to get injured, it'd be covered under workers' comp, kind of the same thing with respect to the coronavirus. There is a provision in the law that was recently put together to provide for access to workers' comp related to coronavirus, illnesses and such.
Well, I would think an internship also is more of a face-to-face thing. Is this going to affect that to the point where we're not going to be as involved with allowing the interns to be that involved with the students?
So what will happen is we'll have this contract in place, but that doesn't mean we have to actually have those interns serve. So depending on what it looks like in the fall, we can ascertain whether or not we can accommodate interns in our program. If we can, wonderful. If we can't, that's okay. We can
Okay.
do it at a later time when we are have that capacity.
With that in mind, I'd move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. 10.8, approval of revised job description for school psychologist. Dr. Stain.
So this is the latest update for our school psychologist position. As you know, we've been going through our job descriptions and modifying them and updating them over to reflect the changes that have occurred over the years. And there has been a tremendous amount of changes in the services that we've been requiring our school psychologists to provide. And so this new job description is reflective of that.
Perfect. I'll move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None opposed. 10.9 is approval of CSBA policy updates 20 December 2019, second read. We've all had a chance to see these in our board packets. Mr. Jones, anything to add?
Nothing to add, just updating the policies. We got them updated and ready to go.
Okay.
Move to approve.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. All right. Well, that does it for this evening. And takes us to planning. What is the next date of our meeting? August what?
I believe August 12th.
August 12th. All right. So August 12th, 5 p.m. closed session, 6 p.m. open session. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.